What's so great about Indianapolis? Lots of stuff. Apparently, I wouldn't know, I've never been there. But one unique thing is from August 1st to 4th, the biggest tabletop gaming convention is held, called Gencon, where all kinds of RPG companies can show off their stuff, including Paizo. This is one of the biggest events for Paizo announcements, maybe even more than PaizoCon itself in May. So what happened in the Paizo universe in Gencon 2024? Lots of stuff. Apparently, I wouldn't know, I didn't go. But like this year's PaizoCon, the announcements this year came out on 4 to 5 different streams. I mean planets. That's because the first planet is Starfinder 2E. Because as of August 1st, Starfinder 2E playtest was released along with a playtest adventure called Cosmic Birthday. I thought a Cosmic Birthday sounded lame until I found out it refers to the Starfinder version of Pluto exploding, hatching into a giant Lovecraftian space horror beast. The Starfinder 2E playtest is fully compatible with Pathfinder 2E. In fact, the playtest even requires the Pathfinder 2E player core in order to properly understand it. The playtest has 10 ancestries, robot androids, rat folk Yosokis, big-headed Kasathu that look like that guy from Star Wars, Han Solo humans Barathu, the lizard Klingon Vesks, bug people Shirin, psychic Lashunta, catfolk Patras, and the Starfinder mascots
Skittermanders.
There are 2 versatile heritages, the undead Bore and the hyperspace Brismeni, and 6 classes in order of my favorite to least favorite: the big gun soldier, Princess Leia Envoy, Special Forces Operative, the Gravity Manipulator Solarian, Weird Divine Mystic, and the Space Wizard Witch Warper. Then they revealed the next 2 classes that will be playtested for Starfinder in early 2025, the Technomancer and the Mechanic, which could be new favorites, but they won't be officially released with Starfinder 2E. They'll be in a separate book, they're just being playtested for that future unnamed book. And there will also be another playtest adventure called Empires Devoured for level 10 Starfinder characters coming in October. But the first official real Starfinder book isn't going to be the Starfinder 2E player core. It'll actually be the Starfinder Galaxy Guide, a lore book about the world of Starfinder. Then the second biggest news planet was all about the Pathfinder 2E meta event that also kicked off with Gencon, the God's Reign, officially started by the Pathfinder hardcover adventure Pray for Death. This meta event is where Gorum, the god of war, is killed by the god of assassins. Pray for Death lets you play as Red Mantis assassins, and as I understand it, it's the adventure in which this great event happens, the death of Gorum. That creates all kinds of drama. First, the next 2 adventure paths, Curtain Call, starts with level 10 player characters putting on an opera about their previous adventure when the death of Gorum happens. Then Triumph of the Tusk is about the aftermath of orcs dealing with the death of their god, and you play as emissaries to the Orc Kingdom. Then there's a novel called God's Reign. Then the War of Immortals rulebook will release in October, where the real fun begins. I originally thought War of Immortals would be a divine-centered book all about clerics and champions, but really it seems like it's more about myths and legends and playing characters like demigods. Gorum's blood and armor rains down on the people of Pathfinder and has strange effects. 2 new classes emerge. The Animist can bond with spirits to change their spells and feats on the fly, like bonding with the spirit of a volcano to give you fire spells or the spirit of a dungeon to give you traps and illusions, while the Exemplar lets you play demigods like Hercules or Maui, and you get an icon, like a signature powerful weapon if you think about Thor's hammer, and build powers based on stories about you. There's also new player options for people getting embroiled in the chaos following Gorum's death. Fighter archetypes to be like Achilles with a spear and a weak spot, like Achilles' ankle called a doom. And then there are mythic rules for any character to become a little bit legendary. They seem to work like this. From levels 1 to 10, characters can get mythic feats, which just attach on to your character, and you can spend mythic points to use and do insane things with these feats, often using mythic proficiency, which grants a plus 10 bonus. So it's a little bit like a super beefed up focus point you can put on any character. But then at level 10, a character can choose a mythic destiny, like the Prophesized Monarch or an Archfiend, which gives abilities that let the player explicitly change the game world, like King Arthur making a town super prosperous, and making all the townspeople love them. And then of course there will be some mythic monsters for these mythic characters to fight. Meanwhile, Divine Mysteries is more about clerics and champions. It describes the 20 deities in detail, gives info about minor deities, pantheons, covenants, and shows what the deities and their followers look like. The book is narrated in-universe by Yavali, who will also give lore details about how divine power works, why worshipping gives you divine power, how gods are created, and what happens when they die. There'll also be some class options as well, like the Battle Harbinger Cleric class archetype, the Paradox of Opposites Patron for Witches, the Blight Oracle Mystery, Palatine Detector class archetype, and new champion oaths. Then another release on August 1st was the final remastered Pathfinder core rulebook, and probably the most heavily changed remaster book, Player Core 2. 2. This is the book that includes 8 ancestries, 3 versatile heritages, and 8 classes, which I'm still in the process of covering, so stay tuned. But with this book released, the remaster project is finally complete, so there'll be much less confusion. Just make sure no one ever buys the old core rulebooks. At PaizoCon, Paizo also announced a new core-ish rulebook called NPC Core, which should be an NPC version of Monster Core, which I believe is launching next fall. Then there was the Tian Sha planet, which is soon coming to an end. Tian Sha is Fantasy Asia, and Paizo had a massive team of 40 authors working on 2 books, the World Guide and the Character Guide. The Character Guide will be releasing on August 28th and bring this planet to a close. It has 6 new ancestries. But also at Gencon, the Tian Sha World Guide got the Gold Award for Best Setting Guide. So what's new on the horizon? Pathfinder Quest is a D6 board game being kickstarted on BackerKit. It was meant to start around now, but they moved the BackerKit launch to next spring. The new adventure paths coming up are Spore War, in which you help the elves of Kyonin fight off Tree Razor, the most powerful statted enemy in Pathfinder and mortal enemy of the elves of Kyonin. Claws of the Tyrant is a hardcover adventure, like Pray for Death, and contains 3 different adventures, which don't lead into each other but are all related to the return of Tar-Baphon, possibly the ultimate villain of Golarion. For more info on that, watch my lore video as well. In fact, the second one, you actually fight on the side of Tar-Baphon and are evil. And then Shades of Blood has you adventuring in the ruins of Aslant and encountering some vampires in an action dungeoneering adventure. Then Battle Cries, a book with very few details released. Only the playtest of the new Commander and Guardian classes, which is already over. Normally that playtest would happen right about now, but there was already so much being released, they moved it earlier. And the new rulebook for spring was revealed as Rival Academies, and is about a conference of wizards around the Worldwound where they'll hang out, knock back a couple brewskis, kill some demons, and talk about magic. And we'll get all kinds of new details about different magic wizard schools, which will of course provide more mechanical wizard schools for wizard